A couple days ago, I turned 26, and as I was thinking about like what I want for this new year for myself and reflecting on the past, I was like, dang, like my life looks so different from what I expected and what I planned. I've failed, I've tried new things, I've changed careers. Like my life has just been in a whirlwind, and so I was like, you know what? Instead of me like talking about like something that's helping other people, I was like, let me talk about myself a little bit so you guys know that my life is not picture perfect. I've been through a lot of things. I've learned a lot as a 26-year-old, and so I want to share with you guys some things that I feel like you need to know if you're in your 20s, whether you're in your early 20s or late 20s. Really, if you're just somebody who's trying to change and work on themselves and just figure out what their life could look like, or maybe just get some discipline and some morals and some values going on, this video is going to be for you. I feel like my version of what your 20s should look like is going to be different from what somebody else says, but it doesn't mean that either one of us is right or wrong. So I'm just going to tell y'all my perspective based on my experiences, based on my personality and how I think, my mindset, my worldview, and you guys can take it or leave it. But this is basically my advice to people that are in their 20s as a 26-year-old. So let's just get right into it. Y'all know I got my notes. So let's just get right into it. So I just want to start by saying no one is coming to save you. This was a hard truth that I accepted when I was in college because I grew up, single parent household. I lived with my mom for the most part of my life, and then when I was 14, I moved with my dad. And so, my dad was a provider, things of that nature. But when I went to college, it was kind of like, all right, girl, you on your own. And I remember when I went to college, I would, like my freshman year, I would ask my dad for money. And I remember him telling me like, oh, you need to sacrifice. You're not going to be able to get your nails done, your hair done. Like, you don't need a job. You need to focus on your school. But I was always somebody like, I need my money. Like, I don't do well asking people for things because I wasn't raised that way anyway, which is funny that my dad would even suggest that because he was somebody who taught me to be independent, taught me how to pay my bills at an early age, taught me how to get a job, things of that nature, had me get a job at a young age. So I was confused as to why that was his response, but I was like, you know what? Okay, bet. So I just became someone who was independent, and it got me through college. I always worked 2 or 3 jobs. I always pay my bills on time and still do. But I realized like you really can't depend on people. Like I feel like even like unless you live in a very, very privileged family, like white people, no shade, I feel like there really isn't anyone who's going to come save you. And I know a lot of women have this like mindset that, they're going to marry into a rich family, and the man is going to keep them from having to get a job, be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, if that's what you want your reality to be, then so be it. But I just have a mentality that no one is going to save you because I was just raised in a way of like, you just have to go get it. And like, when you make mistakes, those mistakes are going to be on you. When you get arrested, when you have a kid out of wedlock, or, you dealing with baby mama, baby daddy drama, when you get fired on the job, like anything that you deal with that is your fault is your fault. Nobody is really going to want to take, no one is going to want to take anything for you. So it's just better for you to have a mentality of like, no one is going to come save you, so that you will be responsible for yourself and for your life. You don't want to have a victim mentality. You don't want to be angry at people for not helping you, because for me, like I had a lot of, I guess, anger towards my dad and my mom because I felt like, oh, like they didn't support me when I was in college and things of that nature. But then I realized like, at the end of the day, I'm an adult, I'm responsible, I'm able, I'm capable of working and making money and saving money. I have the same 24 hours as the next person. I'm not disabled in any way. So you can go to work, you can learn how to save, you can learn how to invest in things of that nature. So it's also important to understand with this is that everyone has their own struggles. Like, even when you're married, your partner is going to have things that they deal with. Yes, y'all are a team, but we're all human. Your parents deal with things, your siblings, your friends. Like, everyone has their personal struggles. And so to me, it's like selfish to want to put your problems onto other people, especially when your problems are a result of bad decision making or just like failure. So it's just like, don't depend on people to save you every time you get in trouble or every time you need some money. Figure out how to make some extra money on your own. Get a certificate, build some skills, learn how to make money online, whatever the case may be. Find a way to get promoted at your job. Like, there's always something to do. We live in a time now where we have so much information, so many tools. There isn't really any excuse to not have any money in this day and time, no matter what the economy looks like. That's just, like I said, my personal opinion. So, as a 20-year-old, you need to know that no one is coming to save you. Take responsibility for your life. Next thing that I need you guys to know in your 20s is that sometimes you can be your worst enemy. I realized this in the past year. I did a video about it, talking about how I noticed that I was making terrible decisions and I was going through this consistent cycle of quitting jobs, starting new ones, not making sure that I was good financially before leaving a job. And, we all did it, as teenagers and young adults. But I was self-sabotaging with my finances specifically because, like, say for instance, like, I'm like, okay, I want to save $1,000. I reach $1,000, but then I find a way to spend it. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to pay off this, or, oh, let me, like, buy this thing, like, just because I'm like self-sabotaging in my head because I'm not accepting the fact that this is my new normal, this is my new baseline. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy because you are comparing yourself to other people. And like I said, like, you repeat the same toxic cycles over and over again. So say you're in a relationship with somebody who is abusing you, whether it's verbally, physically, emotionally, they're cheating on you, they're not being romantic, they're not compromising, they're not really trying to get to know you, but you stand with this person out of comfort or because you don't think you deserve better. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. Sometimes you don't think that you deserve more, you deserve better out of life. Sometimes you get scared of something new in your life. So, like, example with the finances, like, sometimes seeing that much money in your account because you never had it, it'll scare you and you'll find a way to sabotage it and find a way to spend it. It's a real thing. I promise y'all, it's a real thing that happens in your brain. The brain is crazy. But, like, just know that sometimes you will be in your own way. And like I said, I had this realization right when I was, like, actually this is right before I turned 25. So this time last year, I realized I am the reason why I'm in this situation. I am the reason why I keep going through the same thing over and over again. And I kid you not, actually guys, a week ago, I found myself wanting to make the same decision that I told myself I wouldn't make again a year ago. And I'm telling you, you can be your own worst enemy. So I would say it's just something to be aware of. It's something that you need to learn about. Learn about self-sabotage. Pay attention to your patterns and your habits, whether it's on a weekly basis, monthly basis, even on a yearly basis. You will find yourself making decisions over and over again that's hurting you, that's keeping you from growing, that's keeping you stagnant, that's not allowing you to reach certain goals. I experienced that when it comes to my weight loss journey, when it comes to like my eating healthy journey. Like, I'll find myself being my own worst enemy because I am afraid of what that newer version of me will look like. So you really have to accept this new normal, accept this new person that you are becoming, because there's always two people fighting inside of you. There's always the new version of you, and then there's always the old version of you fighting. And it's a consistent battle. It's also spiritual warfare. So you need to be aware of that so that you can stop it and that you can catch it before it gets too far, and you can take steps to keep you on a consistent path of developing, even if it's small steps on a daily or weekly basis. All right. This is very important for my people that are in their 20s, especially for this day and time. You need to know that the world is always trying to steal your focus. First of all, they don't want you to follow your dreams. And you guys should know that from the time you were a kid. They may have asked you, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? But most of the time, the things that people said were like doctors, teachers, nurses, firefighters, police officers. It was things like that. Nowadays, kids are probably not saying those things, which I think is a great thing. But when you are young, the world is trying to plant these thoughts in your head about what you should or shouldn't do with your life. So that's something that you need to be aware of. The news is always trying to grab your attention. They're trying to keep you in fear. They're trying to keep you in this mindset of, oh, the economy is bad, gas prices are high, groceries are high. And I'm not saying those things aren't true, but that's what they want you to focus on, so you don't focus on bettering your life, making more money, creating wealth, things of that nature. There's always something to buy. America, well, the world is a capitalist society, period. But I believe America is number one. Pretty sure we are. There is always something to buy, and the average person is so materialistic. They're always worried about buying the new bag, the new shoes, whatever's trending on TikTok, whatever's trending on Instagram. Like, there's always something to spend your money on, and that's keeping you from building wealth, from saving your money, investing your money, paying off debt. You might not think those things are important because you're in your 20s, but it is very essential, because you don't want to wait until you're in your 30s and 40s to try to figure out how to retire at 40. If you start right now while you're in your 20s, you can retire in your late 30s, early 40s. Shoot, depending on what you're doing with your money, you could be retiring in your 30s. You could be living a life where you can work a part-time job doing what you want to do, but you still got $1 million in your investment account, in your savings account, whatever the case may be. The world is always trying to get you to spend, buy, because it doesn't want you to have money, because it wants to keep you in this rat race. There's always something going on with celebrities. There's the Shade Room and Hollywood Unlocked and reality TV and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and it's always something for you to focus on. There's these trends. There's TikTok dances and TikToks that you can do at work, and like, there's just always something grabbing your attention, and you need to be aware of it, because where focus goes, energy flows. I have to think about it. Where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're always focused on celebrity gossip, that's what your vibration is going to be. That's what your frequency is going to be. That's what you're going to talk about with your friends. That's what you're going to talk about when you're at work and with your family. But if you're focused on content about how to make more money, how to save more money, how to invest more money, how to grow spiritually, how to build your relationships, how to grow at work, how to build this skill, that's what your energy is going to be. That's what's going to be flowing to you. That is the frequency that you're going to be on. So you need to know that the world is always trying to keep you away from being the highest version of yourself. You need to know that while you're in your 20s, because this is where your 20s is building the foundation for your 30s. They say your 30s is like, they say your 30s is the new 20s, or is it the 20s the new 30s? I think they're saying the 30s is the new 20s. For me, what that means is, a lot of people in the past, I feel like, waited until their 30s to start getting their life together. But we're seeing that you really need to start getting your life together in your 20s. I'm not saying you can't have fun, because one thing about me, I'm going to catch a flight. I'm going to go on a trip. I done went on 3 trips already this year. I got 2 more this year. Like, I'm going to go on a trip. I'm going to have my fun. But I don't be at the club. I'm not spending my money on bottles. Everybody's fun might be different. But what I'm saying is, I'm living my life. I took off work, all the things. My nephew's birthday, took off work. My birthday, took off work. Husband's birthday, took off work. Labor Day weekend, we're going out of town. I'm going to do that type of stuff. I'm going to live my life, but I'm also, behind the scenes, I'm getting my life together, paying off debt, building my savings, building my investments. Like, I am making sure that when I do decide to build a family, when me and my husband are ready for that, we're going to be good. We're not going to be perfect, but we're going to be good. So just know that the world wants your focus, but you need to be intentional about what you are consuming, what you're paying attention to, and what you're filling your mind with. With that being said, number 4, you need to know that escapism will ruin your life. This is important, especially during these times, because we got vapes, substance use is at an all-time high. Alcohol use is at an all-time high. You go anywhere, they offer you a drink. You guys need to know that these things are just ways to keep you distracted and to help you cope, but they're really not helping you cope. They're not helping you heal. They're not helping you to really discuss what's going on in your life, help you get through your problems, get through whatever your trauma is. So when I say escapisms, I'm saying those things that keep you from really facing reality. So the alcohol, the drug use, the TV, the overeating, or even undereating. For some people, it's sex. For some people, it's porn. Like, there are a lot of things in this world that keep people distracted, that keep people small, that keep people from not addressing their problems. As a 20-year-old, as somebody in their 20s, you guys need to know that that stuff is real and it can ruin your life. There are so many stories where people will tell you how they use these substances up until their 30s, 40s, and now they have different diseases. Now they're disabled in certain ways. Now they're starting from scratch with their life. And I'm not saying that your life can't change and that you can't heal from it and that you can't change from those things or let them go at some point. But the younger you start, and the more you do it, the worse it's going to go as you get older. Drop these habits. Know that these things are not really helping you. They're not helping you heal. They're not really numbing you. They're not really helping you to be more creative with your work. Please don't fall for the propaganda with that stuff, and understand that you need to be able to communicate effectively. You need to be able to think through your problems and heal and talk to people and find healthy ways to deal with your problems, whether it's going to the gym, going to therapy, journaling, reading, working on your relationship with God, having those hard conversations with your friends and your family. Those are the things that are really going to help you to really live a better life, not the things that are keep you distracted and keeping you small and keeping you stuck. One of my favorite things to talk about is healing, just to go in after we talk about escapism. Healing is essential to career success, self-development, and healthy relationships. For me personally, I started therapy when I was in college because I had a lot of just built up anger against my parents. I was just a mad black woman, to be honest. Bad attitude, snappy. And those are things that I was still healing through, when I got married or right before me and my husband got married. But healing just helped me to grow in other areas of my life. So obviously I grew internally. I'm not quick to snap or pop off or things of that nature. But because I healed in certain ways and became more self-aware, I learned about human nature, human behavior, learned about psychology, it helps me at work. In 1 year, I went from the lowest level at my job to now I am the highest level, or right under the owner. I'm the highest level. I'm a director at my workplace. In my relationship, my marriage, we are able to communicate better. He doesn't tell me that I'm mad or angry all the time anymore. We have just become so much better because I healed in certain ways. When it comes to, self-development, me being able to communicate effectively at work, me being able to level with people and reason with people, me being able to see things from a higher level, it's all because I went on a healing journey. With the healing journey, I also supplemented that with spiritual maturity. So learning discernment, learning wisdom, learning the fruits of the spirit also helped me to heal and be able to have prospering relationships. So when it comes to healing, don't wait until you're older. Don't wait until you get married. Don't wait until something tragic happens before you start to work on yourself. Start journaling, start going to therapy if you need to, start praying and meditating and having those hard conversations, addressing people who may have hurt you. Do some healing before then, but make sure you are having those hard conversations so that if the other person is working on themselves, the relationship overall will be better. So there are a lot of things you can do to work on yourself. Like I said, for me, my main thing was I went to therapy, but I also am really big on self-development. So for me, self-development is just listening to people on social media who talked about self-development, inner work, things of that nature. I had like 2 or 3 people that I listened to consistently for years. I still listen to these people because they're growing consistently, so that's helping me to grow consistently. So you got to find people you trust, who you align with, who you feel like you can actually learn from, not just on that one thing, but from other areas in their lives. Maybe treat them as a mentor and let them pour into you and help you to renew your mind, change the way you think so that you can become a better person. You can, be better in your relationships, in the workplace, but also you just have a better relationship with yourself, which will, reflect into your relationships with other people. So in your 20s, you should be focused on healing and self-development. Don't just focus on career, don't just focus on money, because all those things will come, but those things can be so much better if you work on yourself. We live in a world now where people don't work on themselves. They're delusional, they point the finger at everybody else, they're the victim. And those are the people who will not see much career success. Those are people who will not see much financial success, nor will they see themselves be in a healthy relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whether it's with their family. They just won't be successful in those endeavors because they aren't working on themselves. Number 6, this is important to know as somebody who has done this a million times. Know that it is okay to start over. Your 20s are meant for you to be learning and growing, trying and failing, trying and failing. For me, I tried a lot of things. I did lashes, I was a pharmacy tech, I was a personal trainer, I tried out being a teacher, I tried out being a lawyer. Like, I did a lot of trial and error when I was in college. And even once I graduated college, I was a social worker for a little bit. I was a personal trainer for 2 years. I'm someone who's still in the health and wellness space, but now that's kind of more about being a leader of your life. So it's not just health and fitness, it's self-development, it's finances, it's all those things intertwined into one. But I tried a lot of things to understand what I like, what I don't like. Like for me, I can say like, oh, I can't work in a retail space. Like I don't like working in clothes, working with like spaces that are just like boring and you're standing all day. I like to be active the entire time. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't try different jobs out. Everyone used to laugh at me, oh, you've had a bunch of jobs, but I can tell you way better than the next person what resonates with me and what doesn't resonate with me. And when I also say it's okay to start over, I was someone who started over a lot with my finances too. Like I said earlier, that can be self-sabotage, but also you have to know that there are going to be things happen in life. You're young. You're still trying to figure out what makes sense when it comes to investing and saving and creating systems and routines that work for you. So if you have to start over a few times, that's okay. This is the time for you to learn systems that work for you and, figuring out what banks you want to use or what, bank accounts you want to use, what services you want to use, what investments you want to invest in, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, gold, whatever the case may be. Like, this is the time for you to figure those things out. And there are a lot of resources online nowadays. A lot of people are more educated and aware on those things. So give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up if you start over. Like I said, I've started over so many times and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't regret it at all because, like I said, I have a lot of skills. I'm a well-rounded person, but I also learned a lot about myself. So I want to start by saying you must have boundaries to survive human behavior. I need you guys to learn people. This kind of goes along earlier when I talked about healing and inner work, self-development. But specifically, you need to have boundaries. I was a people pleaser. It's something that I still am working on, but listen, I've come a very long way. I was someone who wanted to please my parents, wanted to please my family. I'm the eldest daughter. If that doesn't say anything, listen, go do your research on oldest daughter syndrome. If you're an oldest daughter, you already know what I'm talking about. But you need boundaries. You need to make people respect you, make people give you your space, give you your time, and know that you're not somebody to play with. People will try to use you and abuse you because most humans are selfish. It's in our nature, unfortunately. So you need to have boundaries with yourself, boundaries with other people. Don't allow people to use you and abuse you because they will if you let them. Don't be a people pleaser. Don't be selfish in the sense of you don't help other people, but you still need to be selfish with your time in certain ways. You need to be selfish with your energy, and sometimes you got to be selfish with your money, not because you don't want to give, but because you don't want the other person to 100% depend on you. If it's your child, that's different. But with these other adults out here who got the same 24 hours as you and they're not disabled, don't let them use and abuse you. Learn human behavior, learn psychology. It's on YouTube for free. Don't say I didn't warn you. Please, right now, while you're in your 20s, don't wait until you're older and you're dealing with all these toxic men and women in the dating scene. Learn now. Learn when people are narcissists, when they're trying to manipulate you. You need to be aware of those things. Learn now. Don't wait till it's too late. Know that who you surround yourself with matters a lot. So for me, one of the biggest things that I paid attention to is people who are negative and complainers. Because for me, when I was in this journey of renewing my mind, I stopped saying things like I'm broke, I'm tired, I can't do this, I can't do that. So I started to pay attention to other people who did it a lot, and I was like, I can't be around those people. You need to be around people who are optimistic, who are dreaming big, who are winners, who are on the same path of you of trying to change your life. I'm not saying that everyone around you got to be that way, but the people you're talking to the most, your relationship, your close friends, your close family members, you all need to be on the same level in the sense of trying to better your life, trying to save, invest, create better opportunities for yourselves and your family. Do not be around people who are always trying to club, never working out, never eating healthy, because birds of a feather do flock together. You don't think it does, but it does. You don't think it does. You don't think it matters, but it does. And so it's something that I realized at an early age, because in college, being around the wrong people, dealing with family members who didn't realize that they were heavy complainers, but they were. And once you brought it to their attention, you were the bad guy. But then later on, they realized, no, you were right. Like, I had a lot of experiences where I was fully aware of things on the spiritual realm. And so I would tell people, like, it's not good to say that, or like that's a negative way of thinking, and it wasn't perceived well, but I knew deep down inside how those feelings made me feel. Even though I may have not been the one saying it, it still affected me negatively. So pay attention to who you are around. Pay attention to people who are, trying to peer pressure you, people who don't understand you, don't want to understand you, and don't understand you, because they will try to manipulate you. They will try to degrade you, but you know who you are, you know your identity. So just be mindful of the people you spend the most time with. Don't be around the people who are broke. If there are 9 millionaires in the room, you're going to be the 10th one. So be around people who are winners and who are trying to make some big things happen in their lives. Last but not least, know that what you do frequently becomes your frequency. This correlates to a little bit about what I talked about earlier when I said the world is always trying to steal your focus. But when I say what you do frequently becomes your frequency, basically you need to focus on building the life that you want. But that comes with being intentional about where your time and energy is going. So like I said earlier, if you want to be financially free, that's what you need to be focused on. If you want to build a family, that's what you need to be focused on. I like to say focus on what you do want and not what you don't want. You must understand that what you think about controls everything. So you have to be intentional about what you're consuming, because every single thought is rewiring your brain. It's that serious. And I'm saying this because we as 20-year-olds take everything for granted, and we don't take these things seriously, but I promise you they are so important. So if you spend a lot of time scrolling, paying attention to gossip, paying attention to the news, paying attention to the celebrity mess, paying attention to all the problems that are going on in the world, and even the problems that are going on in your own personal life and in your community, that is what your frequency will be. And so that will keep you from making any progress, because you're always worried or focused on what you don't want, versus if you were to focus on what you do want, it's going to flow to you, and that is what your frequency is going to be on, as I said earlier. So know that thoughts control everything. Get your life together. Focus on healing your finances. Being intentional about what you watch and what you listen to. I love me a good show, but best believe I'm getting my work done. I go to work, but I also am focused on doing things such as this, making sure that I'm helping you guys to grow and become better based on my own life experience. For me personally, when I say what you do frequently becomes your frequency, and when I say that your thoughts control everything, I pay attention to when I think the most negatively and what that looks like in my life. So and then also when I think about this, and I had this realization last week, there was like a little moment in a week where like I wasn't going to the gym in the morning, and I would dread going to the gym at night, like a day like today. And then I found myself like focused on the fact that I don't want to go to the gym. So then my frequency became, I don't feel like doing anything. I didn't fold clothes, I didn't cook dinner. Like I was just in this negative spiral of I don't feel like doing anything. Versus on the flip side, I say, you know what? I'm going to the gym because I got to make sure that I start my week strong. I got to make sure that I'm, getting in my steps, things of that nature. Okay, boom. Let me go ahead and record this YouTube video as well. That's literally what happened to me today. I slept through my alarm on accident, which never happens. So I missed my workout this morning before I went to work. And so I got off work, I came home, I cooked dinner immediately, and then I laid in the bed and I was like, I don't feel like going to the gym, but I also needed to record this video. And I was going to say forget both of them. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and go to the gym. So then I went to the gym, and then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and record my video too. So literally as soon as I came home from the gym, I put my camera up and I started recording, which is why my hair is in these two buns, but that's besides the point. The point is, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So you need to do more of what you want to help you become better in life. So focus on saving your money every week or every 2 weeks. You know, focus on working out a couple of times a week, cooking a couple of times a week, going on your walks a couple of times a week. Start off small and build your way up. Do less and think about less of what you don't want, and focus more and do more of what you do want in life. So I would conclude this whole rant, I would say, about being in your 20s, to be intentional with your 20s. Don't wait until you're in your 30s to work on yourself, to build the life that you want. Don't be green in this world. Don't just let everything come to you. You need to be spiritually mature. You need to be discerning. You need to be able to know that we are living in a spiritual battle. You may not be a religious person, but you got to know that we are living in a time of good versus evil. I'm not saying good people versus bad people. I'm saying that there is a fight that is trying to keep you away from being the highest version of yourself. To me, that is what spiritual warfare means. It's a part of what spiritual warfare means. So you need to build some spiritual maturity, build discernment, become more wise, and do it now while you're in your 20s, because it will save you a lot of trouble when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I'm not saying that you won't have many problems, that you will get through anything untouched, unscathed, but just know that when you start now in your 20s, you will be able to create a better life for yourself, one that you dream of, the one that you want, the one that you watch other people live on social media. You can live that same life if you be intentional now. So I'm excited to be starting this journey as a 26-year-old. I believe that this next year is going to be amazing, because I'm taking all of this in that I'm telling y'all, and I'm living this stuff in real time. So please take what I'm saying very serious in this video. Take your life serious. Take life seriously. Have your fun, but still take it seriously. I hope you guys can take something from this video. I will see y'all in the next one.